a game called Thump Builder, which used to be a hit, but was later abandoned. Usually games like that don't just get abandoned, they get destroyed. So the question is, why are games destroyed like that? He explains that there are games focused on gathering resources and others focused on fun. This little cute world, like Minecraft, is in theory supposed to be fun. While the Ghost world is entirely focused on farming and grinding, because that's where the fun was supposed to come from. Obviously, with games like Ghost World, once the resources run dry, the game shuts down because that was the only reason it existed. This Minecraft knockoff, however, was destroyed for a different reason. Right then, a massive heart appears above, and he says that's the god of cubes, the divine entity that basically keeps this world running, but also turns it into trash. Then he pulls out his sword and says he's going to show them how each world can be destroyed. Bisque is confused, wondering how he's doing something like that. Both Shad and Laguna are thinking the same thing, how the hell is he using a weapon from the Ghost world in a completely different game? The god of cubes starts attacking. Swinging first as Ryuki explains the real reason this game failed. It's because this damn god kept destroying everyone's builds. It was supposed to be a fun game, but no one had fun because the difficulty was insane thanks to that bug. He jumps from queue to queue, closes in, and asks, what happens when they destroy the thing holding the world together? He plunges the sword and the cube rises and he places his hand on it, explaining that when a severe irreparable failure occurs in the system, the game is supposed to collapse. That and he activates the SSR system and uses delete. The cube begins to disintegrate and explodes in the sky. Suddenly, everything around him starts turning into a mess of pixels, and he says that now that no one's managing it, this place is going to be undone. If it's asked if he's really destroying the labyrinth itself, and Laguna realizes he just used the same ability that destroyed Linefew's spear. Our boy opens his arms and says, as you can see, if you destroy the thing holding a game together, it disappears. And very soon, they'll see the same thing happen to the Ghost world. Gabrielle, during an interview, had said that without the Ghost world, the real world would collapse. But the only thing that's going to collapse is the greed of Hatina and the laziness of the Lindsay Guild, and Rookie guarantees. They're next. Magnol this chaos just to announce that he's planning to end the game, huh? Next scene, we see a group entering a dungeon in the Ghost world. Apparently, there are wanted posters out for our boy, Phi. In fact, right in front of the dungeons, there are always a few guys posted up, holding his wanted poster, checking who they'll let through. Players are starting to get pissed, both at Rookie, for making everyone go through this mess, and at the Lindsay Guild, for making them go through this mess too. Man, the guy orders everyone to take off their gear and drop all their items on the ground so they can inspect them. That's when the guy with the helmet starts pulling out a pistol and you already know who it is, Phi. Right away, everyone gets on alert. Only one person had that weapon. And our boy shows up, saying it must be hard for them, spending the whole day chasing him like this. He gets ready to attack, saying it's time to test out some new abilities, a little warm-up before entering the dungeon. One of the skills he got is called SR Sword Draw. Basically, he unsheathes his sword really fast, delivering a slash with a boosted chance in a critical hit. Then he switches to another sword, a blue one, and finishes off the other guy. That was the Soul Finisher sword, which always lands a critical against spiritual-type enemies. A guy with an axe comes from behind yelling that he's an arrogant bastard only to take a punch right to the face's son. Bro, the guy literally turned into a puddle of blood from just a punch. Our boy says this is way too easy. What were they even doing this whole month? That scene was actually a month in the future. And now we jump back to a month in the past, right after he made his big announcement. He decided to go back to the labyrinth and search for other games. Since for now, he'd be hunted non-stop in the Ghost world. So he heads into one called Celestial Blade Online, a martial arts game. But it was too easy to be everything there. And he still wanted more power. He needed enough power to go up against Rathian and Lindsay all by himself and not lose. He died once to the boss and again and again. The old man, in-game, yells that it's ridiculous. Even after taking so much punishment, he still believes he has a chance. Because he's so persistent, the boss says he'll show him the peak he's reached. This was the Sword Demon, the final boss of that game. Ryaku punches the ground in frustration, shouting that even if this guy is the final boss, he's too buggy and insanely hard. The problem was that it's an abandoned game, so there were no real strategies and no one had even tried to fix it. Back to his usual ways, Igon tells him to try his luck on the roulette wheel. Maybe he get a legendary ability that solves everything. Ryaku shows the robot away, saying he's already told him that those points are for upgrading skills. But then, something seems to click. Cut back to the boss, who asked why he doesn't just give up already. He should realize how dumb it is to keep trying the same thing without changing strategy. But Ryaku walks calmly through the gate, saying he's heard that line so many times he's got it memorized. No more chit-chat. The old man better just come at him already. The Sword Demon calls him an insolent piece of trash and lunges toward him, saying no one insults him in lives. He launches some purple slashes and Ryaku starts dodging. Once again, he's dealing with a completely unbalanced combo attack. Then the boss gets behind him and says Ryaku talks big for someone with zero chance. Ryaku manages to block the attack and the boss even compliments him for at least surviving. But at that moment, Ryaku had dropped a grenade right behind the guy. Looks like he came out unharmed. But while following Ryaku, the boy starts dropping a bunch of grenades. The Sword Demon keeps chasing him, yelling that a sickle like him won't win with some dumb strategy like that. One of the things he slashes happens to get gas grenade. Ryaku instantly puts on a mask. But it wasn't gas. It was a stink bomb and the boss has to cover his nose. Our boy also puts on earplugs and anti-flash goggles, while throwing flashbangs and sonic grenades like crazy. Everything explodes and the boss in that moment couldn't smell, couldn't see, couldn't hear. That's when a bullet hits him right in the forehead. The boss drops to the ground. VENGENCE says this was the dirtiest strategy he's ever seen a human use in a game. Our boy just replies, I use human technology, grenades, bombs, flashbangs, and guns. There was no way that martial arts boss would know how to deal with all that. Just like the Black Knight, this guy was a bug, which is why Ryaku earned 15,000 points. Back in the present, he's still impressed. That sword key thing is insanely powerful. The ability itself is pretty simple. It boosts physical strength. But since it came from a bug boss, clearly there's nothing simple about it. He waves goodbyes of the crowd, telling them to say hi to Gabrielle for him. The boss of this dungeon was known as Legion, and it seemed like his specialty was being able to use aura as if it were part of his own body. With the hell of fire, next scene the boss is groaning in agony. Our boy had summoned this Ramath in its child form, a shadow creature, basically a pet that could absorb shadows of other creatures. So yeah, since the boss focused on aura, he got absorbed. Or maybe it wasn't the boss. Maybe it was just the first creature in the dungeon. Or am I going crazy? Nope, that was it. And he's already exiting the dungeon. And obviously the second he sticks outside, everyone's waiting for him. Our boy says he thought Gabrielle had retired. Apparently the legend Gabriel Darius was planning a comeback. I even comments that they already figured people would be waiting. But it looked like half the server was there. Our boy asks if Lindsay doesn't have anything better to do than to show up with that many people. But suddenly Gabrielle pulls out a book and says he's actually there to make him an offer. Our boy calls it ridiculous to talk about offers when you show up with a mob like this. It's clearly a threat. But then Gabrielle offers him a return to the Lindsay Guild. He wouldn't be seen as a nobody anymore. And he even received the gold rank, something almost impossible to get. On top of that, Euban and heir to the guild master position. Damn, the guy really offered everything. Our boy replies that apparently they're trying every trick to keep him trapped. Offering him the very thing he wants to destroy in order to stop him from destroying it. Right away he fires a shot and says, my answer is go screw yourself. But in a second, Gabrielle's already behind him saying he understands. He attacks and Ryuki blocks it. Gabrielle says he was going to celebrate, but it looks like Ryuki doesn't want to accept a great offer. So to celebrate that decision, he's going to share something about the St. General Hospital, the place where Ryuki's mother died. The death wasn't from natural causes. Ryuki shoves him away and says he's not falling for something that stupid. Gabrielle responds that Ryuki can check it himself he wants, but his purpose here is already done. It's actually more interested in the skills and items that shouldn't even exist in this game. Then he says goodbye and tells Ryuki he'll be waiting at the top of the tower. The bastard starts flying, saying that, of course, Ryuki will first need to deal with all the other players. Man, he really flies off and there's a whole crowd out there. 5. Looks like a damn football stadium. Gabrielle announces that whoever kills Ryuki will get the same offer he just gave him. Obviously, the crowd gets hyped about it. Gabrielle knows the kid is extraordinary, but there's no way one person can beat 1,000.